Have you ever cut one of these? I bet you have. And if you haven't, you'll eventually do it because slots are used for all sorts of things in woodworking, especially when making jigs. This homemade router sled, for example, uses slots for various stops and clamps. The first time I cut a slot with a router, I almost lost a finger. No joke. I had a really close call because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I ended up doing something really stupid. And in the years since then, I've spoken to a lot of woodworkers who also didn't know how quickly slot cutting can go from perfectly safe to pretty dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So today I'm going to show you how to cut a proper slot safely and accurately with a router table. File this lesson away because you're going to need it someday. The trickiest part about a slot is knowing where to start and where to stop the cut, because you can't always see what you're doing as you tip the workpiece down onto the spinning bit to start the cut. The most obvious solution is to use a drill press to bore a hole exactly where you want your slot to begin. You can then slip that over your router bit so you can make your cut from there. This absolutely will work if you're really careful. I say that because if the starting hole is exactly the same size as your router bit, that bit can easily catch in the hole when it starts and spoil the end of your slot. Now that can be avoided if you bore your starting hole slightly larger than the bit, but that might not look right in every case. The biggest problem with the starter hole method is most people simply don't want to use two tools to complete one job. So they prefer that blind tipping method, and that can be done safely too, if you know how. I call it the blind tipping method because you can't really see where the bit will come through the workpiece. That can make it difficult to accurately position the end of the slot. So some folks intentionally begin their cut a little bit to the right of their intended starting point. Then they carefully move the workpiece backward in the left to right direction to get to their marked starting point before cutting the rest of the slot in the proper right to left direction. Again, this will work if you're careful, but keep in mind that when you feed in the left to right direction on a router table, the direction of the spinning cutters will try to pull the workpiece away from the fence, which could potentially create a crooked or ragged cut. Here's a better way to hit your mark. Use a square and a piece of tape to mark the exact location of both sides of your router bit on the fence. Then use those marks to guide you as you lower the workpiece onto the spinning bit. This method also shows you where to stop the cut, which is useful if you intend to cut the slot in 2 or more passes, something I highly recommend, especially in 3/4 inch thick material and in hardwood, because that'll reduce the strain on your router bit and produce a cleaner result. If you aren't comfortable tipping the workpiece down on the spinning bit like this, you can attach a stop block on your fence, or if your fence is like mine and has flip stops, you can use those to keep the workpiece's position as you lower the opposite end onto the bit. Another stop block or flip stop can indicate where the slot should stop. That makes it easier to cut more than one of these quickly and accurately. None of these methods are at all sketchy, but there is a common mistake folks made while they route these slots that can absolutely get you hurt. It has to do with feeding in the wrong direction. The proper way to feed stock over a router table is from right to left. That's opposite the direction the bit is spinning, so you're resisting the force from the bit. If you feed in the left to right direction, you're making what's called a climb cut, and the bit's cutters can grab and pull the workpiece and potentially your hands into the danger zone. Avoiding climb cuts is a fundamental rule of router tables. But sometimes, while cutting a slot, folks find themselves making a dangerous climb cut without even knowing it until their work gets ripped out of their grip and flung across the shop, possibly taking a finger with it. Here's how it happens. Imagine you want to cut a slot that's wider than your router bit. Let's say your bit is 1/4 inch. So your first pass cuts a 1/4 inch slot, but you need it to be 5/16 of an inch. So you might then move the fence toward the bit by 1/16 of an inch with the intention of widening the slot with the second pass. But now you're cutting with the back of the bit, which is pulling in the opposite direction as the front of the bit. That's a climb cut. If you have to widen a slot, or even a dado or a groove with the second pass, you should always move the fence away from the bit, not towards it. This way you're always cutting with the front of the bit, which will resist your feed direction and give you full control. Now I know some of you may be wondering why you can't just cut with the back of the bit, but reverse your feed direction, going from left to right instead of right to left. Then you'll still be pushing against the direction the bit wants to pull. Well, first of all, you don't want to be switching back and forth between feed directions. It's a good way to get mixed up. But even if you can keep it straight, it's a bad idea to cut with the back of the bit alone because you trap a portion of the workpiece between the fence and the spinning bit. If something goes wrong, it can splinter the wood and send it across the shop. But wait a minute, aren't we trapping part of the wood between the bit and the fence anytime we cut a slot? Yes, but it's not the same thing because in that case, both sides of the bit are cutting at the same time. Their opposite directions of rotation are canceling each other out. That's also why earlier in the video, I showed cutting a little bit of the slot in the left to right direction. Since both sides of the bit are equally engaged, that's not a dangerous climb cut, even if it is more difficult to control for the reasons I previously stated. If you're confused about the whole concept of climb cutting and feed directions, especially because they reverse when you use a handheld router compared to a router table, I have a whole tutorial video that makes it simple. I'll link to it below. And if you're wondering about this cool multifunctional router sled that I made, I'll link to the plans for it below. It holds small work pieces safely, and it also cuts circles and more. It's really clever, and you can make it yourself with just some scraps of wood and the plans I have on my website. I know my friends here will be making one. You're welcome, girls. Now check this out. You've seen this one on Cool Tools in the past, but it remains one of the handiest little things I have in my shop. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I have a hard time drilling a straight hole while keeping the bit plumb to the workpiece. If I can't use a drill press, the first thing I reach for is my drill block. I love it because it's small, it's really inexpensive, and it has hardened steel guide holes in the most common sizes from 1/8 to 1/2. I also like the non-slip feet on the bottom, which help it stay put as I work, and the V-groove on the underside makes it possible to drill into corners or even cylindrical objects. There's not much to say about it. It's a lifesaver in certain situations, and it's just flat out handy to have in others. I have a couple of these because, like I said, they're pretty inexpensive but really handy. Keep one in the shop, another in the toolbox. I am always glad I have one. Check it out at the link below this video.